What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 1, Episode 12. So, they're getting ready for this trip down to the cabin, or up to the cabin, wherever the cabin is. So, pretty much, we have Latisha meeting up with Miss Kimmy, and Latisha done bought all these little goodies for a goodie bag. She done went back to that little sex store they went to last season where she didn't buy nothing and act like she didn't know nothing about no sex toys. She done went back and bought up the whole store, honey, and she ready for this trip. Kimmy was like, okay, where did this come from? And Latisha was like, I know, right? I said, you saw how you look, how your friends got on you by how you looked in that last year up in that sex store, act like you ain't know what you was talking about. You know what you talking about, girl. But then they got to talking about the whole conversation with Melody, and Latisha was like, she basically said that she's pretty much done with the Holtz, that she just has nothing left. She said she tried to talk to Melody, Melody laughed, and they did show the clip when she brought up the thing about her auntie dying and her grandmother dying, and Melody kind of just smiled. And I don't think it was a smile like I'm glad. I think it was sort of that nervous, I don't know what to say smile, but of course, Latisha, she felt some kind of way about it, and she was in her feelings about it. And she was like, you know what, I don't have time for the host. And, people come in your life for a reason, season, or lifetime, and they were a reason, they were a season, and it's over, and I'm done with it. And Kimmy was like, I really wish the four of y'all could really sit down and talk and just sort of work it all out. And she was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm done. I'm good. And poor Kimmy in the middle, poor thing. So then we go over to, they're having an open house for the two houses that the comeback group was supposed to build, but then the Holtz ended up buying the comeback group out, and the Holtz built the houses by themselves. Well, one house is already sold, and it went above market value, above market value and all that good stuff. It sold before it even hit the market. The other house is the house they're having the open house for. And Melody and Maurice are there. And Martell are there, putting on their game face, being a happy couple and everything. And then Kimmy and Maurice show up. And, Melody was like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. And Kimmy was like, I told you I was going to come. Well, Maurice and Martell end up having a conversation. And then Melody and Kimmy end up having a conversation. And pretty much the conversation with Melody and Kimmy, basically Melody was saying the same thing that Latisha was saying, just the other side of it. She was saying that Latisha took the conversation somewhere it didn't have to be, and Latisha makes everything out to be she's the victim in everything, and that Latisha says, she doesn't come and support her. She doesn't come to any of her events. And so how could she say that she's supportive of Melody when she doesn't support Melody? And she said the same thing Latisha said, like, yeah, no, I'm done with it. Because, Kimmy sort of in the middle trying to get them to find some kind of common ground. And they found common ground. And the common ground is neither one of them want to deal with the other one. That's their common ground. So Maurice pulls Martell aside. Martell is like, okay, you done pulled me aside. What you want to talk to me about? And Maurice is basically saying the same thing. Like, look, we about to go on this cabin trip. I really wish there was a way that we could try to, come to some sort of, like, just all get along. Martell was like, I know Marcel was your brother, but, y'all ain't never wish me any good. Y'all never been there for me like that. And, Maurice was like, well, first of all, what you mean, y'all? Like, let's click. Well, yeah, but your brother. And he was like, well, what do you mean? What has he ever done for me? It's always Martell doing for him. What has Marcel ever done for Martell? And Maurice was like, what you talking about? All these M's. Anyway, Maurice was like, what you talking about? He doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't give me any good advice. And Maurice was like, what advice you talking about? He doesn't give me any good marital advice. He said, what are you talking about? He said, all of us were rooting for y'all. All of us had y'all best interests at heart. All of us were trying to help y'all get past this. So don't make it seem like we were out here just dogging y'all out and talking shit, because we were not. And if you go back to last season, especially the guys really were not trying to go there with Martell. And they confronted Martell and they asked Martell, look, what's really going on? And Martell lied. Now, granted, That's what cheaters do. But he did. He lied. So then Maurice was like, so then they brought up the whole thing about the land again. And Maurice was like, I really thought that was over. Like, I really thought we had resolved this whole land situation. I mean, well, they keep making it seem like we stole the land. And Maurice was like, well, you can't steal something that's for sale. I mean, the land was for sale. It is what it is. Well, that's what I keep saying. That's what I keep saying. You keep making, that's what your brother keep making it seem like we stole something. So then Maurice was like, well, what is it that we need to do to just make this, like, what do we need to do to just get past this? And my thing is this, y'all, before we even get to that, Martell, somebody had to tell you not to cheat on your wife. Like, I'm not, like, again, we back on this whole narcissistic, it's everybody else's fault but my own. Even if everything you saying about Marceau is true, even if he did all of that you said he did, why is it his business or his place to tell you not to cheat on your wife? I'm not understanding that. I'm not understanding how he wrong because he didn't tell you not to cheat on your wife. What? Now the whole land situation, but that part of it, I was just like, Maurice, I'm not. You be on. I mean, Martell, you really be on some other stuff. Like, you really, really be on some other shit. So then he gonna say that you're going to put, he was like, so if you're going to put my business out there, I'm going to put your business out there. And I know that Marceau has been with over 20 women since he's been married. I said, oh, here we go with that again. And my thing is this, if it's true, it's true. Show some receipts. That's all I'm going to say. Drop some receipts. You saying it don't mean nothing because you're a liar. So who's going to believe what you're saying? But I mean, drop some receipts. If you know it, put it out there. And maybe they will before the season is over. I don't know. But neither here nor there. So then they brought up the fact that Sadark, who invited them to come on the cabin trip, basically is trying to set up a situation where they can all sit down and try to clear the air. And Martell said that, he's sort of open to the idea. He's open to the idea. So we'll see how it's about to, I guess it's going to all go down to the cabin trip, honey. Now, Maurice. I like you, Maurice. Happy birthday, Maurice. I like you, Maurice. But boo, baby, boo. This situation with you and your ex-wife and your current wife and Monster. And then come to find out that the ex-wife is remarried. So basically, Maurice's situation is this. And we went through this last week. Basically, he wants his son to come and live with him full time. His ex-wife ain't feeling it. Not because, I don't think it's her issue with the son going to live with Maurice full time. I think the issue is that he's going to be so far away. And what she said was, that's by your choice. Yeah, we agreed to let him, and I said this last week, we agreed that this would be the situation, but that's before you decided to move to Alabama by your own choice. And she was clear to throw that in there, that he chose to go to Alabama. And she said, I'm his mother and I have a say in this as well, and I'm not ready for that. Like, I'm not ready to just hand my son over and he be so far away from me. I can 100% understand that because I said that last week. So that's when Maurice said, well, why don't you, and he kept saying this other person's name, and I thought he was talking about maybe the woman had another son, and he was talking about, why don't you and your other child come down, think about moving down here. Come to find out, it's her husband. That is a serious move. That is a serious suggestion. That is a very serious thing to ask somebody to do. That's a lot, Maurice. That is a lot. And the woman, his ex-wife, was like, well, I don't like your wife. She decided, I didn't like your wife. I won't put words in her mouth. I have a problem with your wife because she doesn't want to be a mother. Now, I don't know if that is based on conversations that have been had prior to the show, or if she's basing that on what Kimmy said on the show last year. Because what Kimmy was saying was that she does not want to go back into a full-time mother situation, but she definitely doesn't want to do it while Maurice is in school, and she's basically going to be going back to being a single mom again. No, she did say that. She absolutely said that. But again, I don't think that meant that she's going to mistreat your child or she's not going to welcome your child. But that's a conversation that needs to be had, and everybody needs to be on the same page. And again, I 100% understand where his ex-wife is coming from. Now, she said she would think about it. She said she would come down to Huntsville to at least visit, get the lay of the land and see how she liked it. And she wasn't going to commit to anything, but she was open to the idea. Baby, I don't know if he ran that by Kimmy first. I don't know if he ran that conversation by Kimmy first. But we about to find out. Child, that's a serious one. And when he went and told his assistant about it, his assistant was like, the next time you want to make a dumb decision, run it by me first. Because I'm going to tell you why that's a bad decision. And she explained to him why that wasn't really a good idea, and that he's looking at things only from a male point of view, not from a wife point of view or a mother point of view. And that it just, like that's probably not going to work. And, and she even brought up the fact that, your ex-wife and your current wife have an issue. And he said, yeah, but that's based on old conflicts and that we can clear up. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but everybody needs to sit down and have a conversation. Baby. Now over to Scott number 2's house, Marceau and Latisha. Latisha's talking now. Latisha done already talked about how busy she is with the kids and balancing her job. Now she want to do a podcast. And she done put a podcast in the mix, and she want Marceau to be her first guest on the podcast, honey. Talking about, basically talking about having some me time when you're a mom, a working mom, and getting some me time. And she gonna tell Marceau, well, you call my name as much as the kids do. And Marceau was like, I don't think I'm as bad as the kids. And Marceau was like, look, I'm really still struggling with this whole letting you work thing. Marceau, you're not letting her work, but we're not going to rehash. And baby, who is at the door? Her mama at the door. Her mama at the door with enough luggage to go on a 2-week cruise. Marceau was like, what happened here? Where you come from? And why you got so much luggage? Latisha talking about something. Oh, I need to talk to you. Well, that's probably my mom, and, I invited her to come and help with the kids. Tisha, you wrong. You are wrong for not telling that man beforehand that his mother-in-law was coming, and you are wrong for not letting that man know beforehand that his mama-in-law was staying for a couple of weeks, because she told me something. He said, why she got so much luggage? She told me something, well, she's staying for a couple of weeks. That's wrong. I don't care if they get along or don't get along. I don't care if they have the best relationship in the world. You can't just invite a guest, whether it's your mama or not, to come into the home and not tell him. Tell my son, well, I was going to tell you. No. Tisha, you wrong for that. That was wrong. Marceau, I'm with you on this one. She was wrong for springing that on you like that. She was wrong for springing that. Now, they in the back talking, because Marceau was like, let me talk to you for a minute, because, of course, he don't know. She going to come busting up in there. He was like, so we not going to knock on doors now? We just going to walk up in rooms? She talking about something, well, y'all back here talking about me. I want to know what y'all talking about. He said, I'm trying to talk to my wife. I'm trying to talk. She said, well, anyway, I got something to talk to you about anyway. What's this with you with 20 women's? Marceau was like, what? She said, well, these are rumors. He said, no, these are not rumors. This is something that one person said to me, and I said to my wife, and obviously my wife told you. But these are not rumors. These are not things that's out there in the street. Ain't nobody been with no 20 women's. So then Latisha takes her mama out the room and goes to talk to her. Marceau comes out the room. The mama gonna say, we talking. He said, well, I was just talking to my wife before you barged up in the room. What you mean we was talking? Honey, it's a mess. It's a comedy from where I sit, but it's a mess nonetheless. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. So when it's all over said and done, they get everything cleared up, honey. And Marceau says, despite what my face is saying, I'm really happy you here, Ma. Marceau, you a mess. Marceau, you are hilarious. But Latisha, you were wrong in that one. You created that whole situation. You were wrong from that whole situation, and you should have never set your husband up like that. Especially know good and daggone well that, your husband and your mama got a special relationship. I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to keep it like that, a special relationship. Now over to the Holtz household. Melody's mom is in town to help watch the kids while they go to the lake house, honey. And Melody mama didn't know that her and Martell weren't sleeping in the same room. Because Melody said, well, I don't know where Martell's sleeping when we go to the cabin, because he ain't sleeping in my bed. And her mother was like, well, what you mean? And she said, well, we don't sleep in the same bed here, so we ain't sleeping in the same bed there. Her mother said, well, what you kind of kept that one away from me. What you mean y'all not sleeping in the same bed? And she went on to rehash the story about the woman calling. And her mother said, look, either you need to check her or you need to check your husband. But somebody need to be checked. And Melody was like, I'm just done. I'm done with it. And, her mother was like, well, look, I hear where you coming from. You have to do what's best for you and your family, but make sure, basically what anybody would say, make sure you, she said, maybe there's still hope. The fact that he's still in the house tells me that there's still some hope that y'all can work this out. Melody was like, but he's upstairs. She said, yeah, but he's still in the house. Melody said, upstairs. Yeah, but he's still under this roof, so there's some help. There's some hope there. Now Martell is over to the counselor's office getting him another session in, honey. And at first the counselor sort of talked to him about his father, and does he think that the fact that his father wasn't in the household, Martell's father was in jail most of his life, does he think that has something to do with maybe some bad decisions he's made? And to Martell's credit, he said no. He said I came from the ghetto. Ain't nobody had a daddy in the ghetto. It just was a matter of whether your daddy was dead, whether he was in jail, whether he was just a deadbeat. But yeah, most people in my neighborhood didn't have a father. So it wasn't like I saw people with fathers and wish I had that. But it did let me know that I wanted to be a father to my son. So then they talked about the cabin trip. And he was talking about, basically having to deal with other people maybe not necessarily seeing them in the best light, or seeing, and he said, my wife, she doesn't hold back. I mean, she just puts it all out there. And the doctor said, well, you don't grow if you stifle, if you hide things and and he was like, well, yeah, I understand. And the doctor said, so you're willing to be transparent? He said, oh yeah, always. And I'm thinking to myself, you was a lie. Y'all are the most non-transparent people I've ever met in my life. Y'all are always putting on the show. We see it. You do it all the time. Y'all are not transparent. And that transparent doesn't mean you got to let everybody know your business. But, and did y'all notice that in this therapy session that damn magazine was on the table in the doctor's office with them on the cover? Did y'all peep that? I did. But then the doctor said something that once again is the same conversation that was had in the car a couple of weeks ago when they were on their way to Birmingham for the magazine cover celebration. The doctor, Martell said something about wanting to be the best him for his wife. And the doctor said, I've been waiting to hear you say that. He said, but you have to remember that being the best you doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best for y'all. Like, it may not be the best for your marriage, but it's the best for you. And that's the same thing Melody tried to tell Martell when they were in the car, when she said, no, I want you to be who you want to be. I don't want you to be who you want me to be, or who you think I want you to be. Anyway, honey. So Melody goes down to visit their financial planner. She said this man been doing their books and their taxes for years, and she just wanted to kind of talk to him and kind of get a feel for their financial situation and what kind of moves need to be made moving into a possible divorce. And that man was hurt. That man was hurt when Melody said that she was thinking about divorcing. He said, I don't like that. He said, y'all are building a dynasty. She said, yeah, but a dynasty doesn't mean anything if y'all ain't on the same page. If the team ain't on the same page, a dynasty does not mean anything. So she said, she basically asked him, look, all I want to do is let's sell everything. Let's sell all of the houses, all the property that we own, and let's split the profits 50-50. And then he said, well, how long you been in that house? She said, well, we do have equity in the house. He said, well, how long you been living in it? She said, we bought it about a year ago. He said, well, maybe if you could hold off the divorce for 12 more months. And she was like, 12 months? He said, yeah, because if you hold it off for 12 months, then it'll be better for this, that, and the other. And Melody was like, at the end of the day, 12 months is a long time for me to be in a situation where I'm not happy. And I'm not going to stay in a situation where I'm unhappy just to say I was in that situation. I'm not going to do that. And this man kept talking to her about staying married. And he said to her, and then he tried to say, well, sometimes men get married and they don't know how to, cherish their wife. I mean, once they married, they sort of take their wife for granted, and they don't do the little things like bring flowers and make them feel special. And Melody was like, oh no, my husband does that all the time. She's like, he said, really? She said, oh yeah, he brings me flowers for no reason. Well, what about date night? Do y'all go out on dates? She said, we go out on dates all the time. He said, well, what about, does he make you feel special? Yep, sure does. The one question he did not ask Melody, because see, the natural follow-up question to that would have been, well, then why you want to get a divorce? But see, he didn't want to ask that question because he knew what the answer was. He knew what the answer was. Because see, he come from that old school, long as the wife is happy, I can do whatever I want out there in them streets, as long as I don't bring it home. And Melody said that in her confessional. She said, see, he from the old school. I don't care about being able to brag that I was married for 20, 30 years if I was unhappy for 12 of them. And you know what? For that, I 100% agree with Melody. Ain't no need in saying, there's no trophy in being unhappily married. There's no trophy in I've been married for 30 years, but I only been happy for 10, And she said, he from that old school, and he's from that mindset that women stayed in these unhappy marriages where they were miserable just to say they were married. She said, and I'm not going to do that. She said, that's no longer important to me, which tells me that at one point in time it was, but she's realizing that it's not worth it. Now, again, we're going to forget the fact that she's pregnant. But in this moment, I was with Melody, and I could 100% feel where she was coming from. So we see that the ladies and gentlemen, they are on their way to the cabin. So I guess the next couple of episodes are going to be about this cabin trip, honey. And earlier in the episode, we did meet another couple that's going to be at the cabin trip, but I'm sure we'll get more information on them at a later date. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. That is Love and Marriage Huntsville. Talk to y'all later. Peace.